We need to stop trying to intellectualize and rationalize male abusive behavior. He's not abusive because he was traumatized as a child and he hates his mother now. He's not abusive because he has anger issues. He's not abusive because he has a mental illness or a personality disorder. He's not abusive because he has an addiction. All of these things can be circumstances that exacerbate the abuse, but his abusive nature is already there. These things can only make it worse. An abuser is abusive because he has a sense of entitlement. Entitlement is the root of abuse. He feels entitled to his partner's body and sex from her. He feels entitled to his partner's time and labor. He feels entitled to devotion and affection and attention from his partner. And this is where things like coercive control come from. And the entitlement to her body is where things like marital rape and sexual assault come from. And I know a lot of scholarship tries to explain abuse using psychological or sociological explanations, but I don't think pathologizing abuse or reducing it to socioeconomic circumstances is helpful, because at their core, abusers are entitled misogynists, and that is it.
In 1999, Eminem released a song that turned violence into a father-daughter road trip.
Where's mama? She's taking a little nap in the trunk.
Tori Amos wasn't into it. She said, quote, "When I first heard the song, the scariest thing to me was the realization that people were getting into the music and grooving along to a song about a man who was b***ing his wife. There is one person who definitely wasn't dancing to this song, and that's the woman in the trunk," said Tori Amos. So she decides to perform her own version, but from the victim's side.
Where's mama? She's taking a little nap in the trunk.
Tori Amos recorded inside a claustrophobic box to evoke the victim's terror. Tori Amos didn't change a single word. The difference is in the delivery. Eminem is calm, comical, playing to that chill psycho side of his stage persona.
Mama was real bad. Was being mean to dad that made him real mad.
Amos, on the other hand, whispers like it's the last life of breath. She removes the hip-hop beat that gives you that reflex to bop along, replacing it with strings that force you to hear every single word.
Mama was real bad. She was being mean to dad and made him real mad.
When delivered by a woman as the victim, those same words show the real horror. A father using his daughter to bury her mother by turning it into a fun playtime at the beach. Tori Amos spoke about her approach to the song, quote, "As an activist, you go to the poison to get the antidote, and there's power in that, and there's healing in that. When you take a man's words, you take his seed." Tori Amos doesn't stop Eminem from writing violent lyrics. A few years later, he'd release Kim, the even more brutal prequel to 97 Bonnie and Clyde. But here's what she did do. She made it challenging to dance to these types of lyrics in the same way. Tori Amos showed us something revolutionary. You don't need new words to change anything. You just need to make sure you're hearing them right. Female Rage video 4 of 8. Follow for the next video.
If you're following the case of David and Celeste, we have some crazy new information coming out and you're gonna want to hear this. So first off, we now have a name of possibly the last person to drive David's Tesla before Celeste was found inside. But before we get to that, the private investigator that saw this person said that while reviewing all this footage, they never once saw Celeste go in or out of David's LA home, and they never saw her body being moved from that home to the Tesla. He said he believes Celeste was staying at a different home where she was possibly unalived, and after people heard this, they started digging, and what they found was crazy. People on Reddit found this address where David is seen filming many TikToks, and after digging further, they found many videos and pictures of him at this house with Celeste. Like, this is the kitchen. This is his live stream with Celeste in the same kitchen. Here they're posing in front of a picture, and in the bathroom there's that same picture. Not to mention, this house is 4 minutes from the LA home. He had this home at the same time he had the other home, so people are thinking its sole purpose was to hide Celeste. And mysteriously, at the beginning of this year, it went up for rent around the same time Celeste went missing. And just days before the private investigator came out and said that he knows who the last person is who drove David's Tesla, he posted this. He said, "You don't get answers unless you ask questions, so I'll ask, was it Neo?" Neo was a very close friend of David's. They were seen a lot together. So much so that they had a relationship that people speculated was more than just friends. But whether or not he was involved and to what extent remains unclear. Rest in peace to Celeste. Let me know what you guys think about this, and as any new details come out, I'll keep you guys updated. Breaking news in the case of David and Celeste. The private investigator just revealed that they found a chainsaw in David's home along with the burn cage incinerator. I mean, what was he planning? The private investigator Steve Fisher just revealed on News Nation that an unused chainsaw was found in David's home, and this is only 2 weeks after he revealed that a burn cage incinerator was found in that same home, which is illegal to purchase in that area and was bought under a false name. And just like there was no legitimate purpose for the burn cage to be there, he said there's no purpose for a chainsaw to be at this rental house. They're certainly not in charge of, trimming the trees or anything. It still had its protective shield over the chain itself. There it is with the burn cage. You gotta wonder what the plan was. He said that the chainsaw could be used to show some intent and said whatever happened here, it wasn't a finalized plan. She was not meant to be left in that Tesla. The plan got appended. As we know, David is now expected to face murder charges as soon as January, but rest in peace to Celeste. Let me know what you guys think about this, and as always, I'll keep you guys updated.
I media trained you.
No, you did.
That's controversial.
It's controversial of raping kids.
What's up, y'all? I hope all is well. So you guys just saw those videos at the beginning, and so in this video I will be commenting on the D4vd situation, where it's this young male artist is accused of unaliving his underage girlfriend, and she was found in his trunk a few months later or so. And this has been like a developing story for the last like 2 or 3 months, but I was on my break, so I wasn't talking about it at that time. But I have been following this story very closely. Okay, I'm one of those weird Americans that follow certain crime cases and like really keeps up with all the details and everything. It's just a sense of the time I growing up in, I guess. But yeah, I'm really into that stuff, so I've been following this story very closely. So I really wanted to do some brief commentary on it, because I did feel like this was really important to speak about, because there's just so many different layers to this situation. And so I know I included one video about abusive males and another video that was a throwback to talking about Eminem and his history of putting violent lyrics towards women in his music. And anyway, I'm gonna connect the two, and then I also am trying to put a clip, like a summary of the D4vd situation, the case and everything, just so y'all could be up to date with what's going on. So anyway, because I don't have time to explain it, it's just so much at this point. But yeah, I just wanted to give like my thoughts about it. So first I want to talk about the element just of the fact that this girl was an underage runaway. So it's being speculated. I'm not even gonna say that, because it's at this point, the case has been so like word of mouth because of social media. Even though the people that I've been keeping up with, I trust them and I feel like they are sharp on their reporting. But you never know. It's being speculated that the family might have known where she was, and then once she just like really stopped communicating with them, that's when they got worried. But a whole bunch of stuff. And I know, just based on the world and what I've seen, I had my own thoughts about what probably happened. And I'm not going to try to speculate too much in this video, because I just feel like that just puts out to misinformation in the case. But just reacting to what I have heard, I definitely can believe that. And so that's just unfortunate, just right there. And unfortunately, that's a tale as old as time. That's not something that's uncommon or unheard of. Especially, it seems like there might have been stuff going on with her and her family, and maybe for whatever reason, kids don't just run away for no reason. So there was clearly something going on to make her not want to be there and to be living apart at such a young age. So I always look at the family in those situations, because kids don't just get up and leave like that. It's one thing, you sneaking out to hang out here and there, okay, you just being bad for a little bit of time, whatever. For a kid to be extended periods of time, leaving the house, not coming back, being somewhere completely different, that says a lot, you know what I mean? So either way, it's still in the family. But that's just a really unfortunate element about it. But of course, the family is mourning, so I don't want to like sound like I'm like trying to like blame them or anything like that. That's not what I'm trying to do. But I just wanted to like kind of go and like chromatic order. But I do believe that they did know that she was dating him, because they mentioned that the last time they saw her, she was literally going on a date with him. It's very obvious what happened here and who the perp is here. I'm not gonna again speculate, but come on now, like I'm not an idiot. We all know, like, common sense is common, you know what I mean? So yeah, so that's really unfortunate. And you know, that really says something to me too, because we do know that it's common in families, especially when the male is considered to be someone with money or a little bit of clout or whatever, where sometimes families will turn a blind eye to their daughter dating a dude that's a lot older for no reason. I mean, or like, just turn a blind eye to it for, just because he has money. And I also think, just knowing, I'm gonna just be honest with you, just knowing what I know about Hispanic culture, they also probably looked at it as like, oh, well, he's not that much older. He's only a little bit older. So he's legally an adult, but he's not that much older. Like, he's not, 25, 30. Like, I think she was 15. He was like 20 or 19. And then, you know what I mean? I'm not saying I don't agree with it, but I'm going to be honest with you, I've heard stuff like that before. So I feel like that kind of played a role in it as well. Because he's a younger adult, that things can get real complex with that. And I've seen that happen before. But she was a child, like a little girl, not 16, 17. No, this was a 14-year-old little girl, and you 19 whatever, like 20 whatever when y'all met, speculating to be younger. Whatever it is inappropriate, is disgusting. That's problematic. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I would not be surprised if that was the family's justification as well. Oh, well, he has money and he's not that much older, whatever. It is what it is. Again, it's not blame, it's just acknowledging the reality. But all of these things are important conversations to have, because a lot of Black and brown girls, do get exposed to situations, in life, because maybe the adults around them are not, setting boundaries about who they can be either hanging out with or mentally involved with. And it is up to you to protect your daughter, because the world is just going to try to, get what they can from them. So, I can totally believe that. I don't think any of the adults involved on his end or her end were ignorant to their relationship. And that's really something important to point out, because it could have been stopped right then and there. And me personally, if I was her mama, I know my mother, how my family would have reacted. They would have been calling the police on him, getting things legally involved. They probably would have shooed him away first. Even if I was being difficult about it or whatever, or my kid was being difficult, whatever, I would, and the dude would not leave her alone. I would get things legally handled, because I have seen with my own eyes different situations, people I know, how that can go down between older men and these young girls. And these men are creeps, they're obsessive, they're abusive, and you have to get the law involved with them immediately. That's just how I feel. But I also, again, I'm going to bring up the fact that this boy is a younger adult at the time. I think that also, and he comes off as very young as well. We just have to be honest with you, that will psychologically disable a lot of adults, to where they will kind of infantilize him and possibly let him get away with stuff because of that. And he gives me the vibe of one of those older guys, like, that graduates high school and still goes to high school parties. That's the vibe he gives me. Like, those guys that are like 23, 24 and they still going to parties with 16, 17-year-olds. Mind you, again, this girl was like 14, 15. She still looked like a little girl. So this dude was a whole creep. Like, that shows that you like young little looking girls. Like, that says something. That's an issue. And anyway, that's the type of vibe he gave me. That he also was a little immature himself, so he probably couldn't really keep up with people his age. So he's probably like to keep a bunch of little girls around him, that are like fawning over him because he got a little internet clout. Because I didn't know who the hell he was. But yeah, these people are like little kids to me. So it's like, I didn't know who any of this was. I don't know about none of this. I had no idea how he came up. I had no idea the music on the games was a thing. I'm so confused. Like, I had never even heard that song, even the clip. Anyway, but yeah, that's the vibe he gave me. And even the Discord shit, like, I only knew about Discord because of freaking YouTube. I had no idea kids use Discord. I thought Discord was like older people gaming thing, like, anyway. So yeah, so that's an aspect of it. And then you had the creepy team around him. This is why I started off talking about the family, not because I'm trying to place any blame on them or anything like that, but because there's so much layers to get into about the people surrounding the David dude and his team, his family, and all the levels of like cover up, and as well as I forget what the word is, when people are also like kind of indicted on the situation because they probably did something too. The layers there are just too much to get into, so I got to get like the weeds out first. So yeah, just a bunch of people enabled it. I believe his family knew about it, and what's interesting is that it seems like he comes from a pretty stable situation, in the sense that it seems like he comes from a 2-parent home, probably, you know, middle class immigrant background. His parents were clearly very involved in his life. There are even pictures of the family with the little fugitive girl that their son has basically kidnapped. Because in my opinion, I don't care if she wants to be there or not. A child can't consent. So if she's a runaway and her family is looking for her, or she's not in the care of her family, or whatever it is, as far as I'm concerned, you holding a child hostage. You need to take that child back home. You know what I mean? Like, all these creeps around him. He's a creep. The parents, everybody's a creep. The team is a creep. The manager's a creep. Creepy. Anywho, and clearly they knew something was going on because they was actively hiding this girl. The whole situation is just really, really disturbing. That's why I had to make a video about this, even though I don't usually talk about like crime cases even anymore like I used to. But actually, when I first got on YouTube, I talked a lot about crime cases, but they're just so depressing and they weigh on you so much. I just watch the updates and the videos and like turn it off and then meditate, breathe, you know, try to watch something positive, you know. But yeah, anyway, going back to David D. Yeah, so a lot of enablers around him, but yeah, it seems like he comes from a stable situation. He was homeschooled, comes from a Christian background. Okay, and that's another thing I wanted to get into. So the homeschooling thing and the Christian background. So I wonder if he had a situation where, because his family was hyper religious, they tried to isolate them. And I've seen this happen, just telling the fact that he still turned out to be a dusty killer. And aren't we always told that, oh, you need to have black fathers in the home, and it's these single mothers with their weaves ruining these sons and turning them into serial murderers in the hood. Okay, so if if it's single mothers that's causing these dudes to crash out in the hood and be, you know, gun happy in urban areas, what is this dude's excuse? Because it seems like he grew up, even before he went to homeschool, he went to good schools. He grew up clearly with resources and money. He got 2 parents in the household. A lot of immigrants, especially in the South, they're pretty stable and, you know, very involved. He grew up in the church. Well, what is the excuse? I'm confused. So clearly there's something going on here with male socialization. I'm just speaking generally. I'm not even speaking racially. There's clearly something going on with male socialization, especially in the United States, that is making these little boys, I'm not going to say little boys because that infantilizes them. And it's not little boys that are doing this. This is corrupted, murderous, usually young adult males and men that are in their mid-20s to 30s. That's usually who's doing this crime. And, you know, we know that the current face of like mass murders in public spaces in the United States right now is white males. But we know that in black communities, since like at least the late 70s, there's been an issue with gun violence as well, but nobody equates in the same way because it's violence towards black people. But in my opinion, I've always saw the violence to be very similar. It's coming from a very similar place, a very similar sense of emptiness. It's coming from the same type of like machismo that's obsessed with guns in United States culture. It's something that people really want to address, and there's something that's related to males' emotions and how that's coming out psychologically with violence towards other people. There's something that's not being addressed that really needs to. And the tired ass men's mental health posts on Instagram every few months, that's clearly not cutting it. You know what I mean? Because y'all will post those memes in one post, and then the next post y'all talking shit about women and crying about wigs and weaves. So clearly there's more intervention that needs to be had. And this boy, I'm making this point because this boy, he had the ideal black experience for a black boy in the United States. 2-parent home, resources, grew up religious, and still this was the outcome. Mind you, not even that. Think about the privilege of you rinky dinking tinkering on what is that, GarageBand, if even that, and you making music for your video game or whatever. Somehow you blow up. Now you have a whole following. You're getting all these opportunities, collaborating with 𝙀𝙢𝙖𝙧𝙚, all these people. Mind you, I still never heard of this child before. But anyway, he's getting all these opportunities, getting all of this praise. Some people are suspecting that some of these songs are literally written with AI. I'm not going to take that from him because a lot of black boys are creative, I'll say, but they don't harness their creativity in the right place. Evidently, look at this situation. But anyway, yeah, so who knows? Like, I'm just saying, like, I'm just going to be honest with you. In this culture in the United States, they praise black males for way too much mediocrity. And I feel like that's a huge problem. Like the whole, like always praising them for being entertainers or athletes and things like that. To me, I find that highly problematic. Always praising them and giving them a whole bunch of opportunities and acting like they're so amazing. Like people was doing, praising this little boy for mediocre weekend knockoff music. Like he just seemed, I'm just gonna be honest with you, he just gives spoiled brat. So that's one thing that's irritating to me. I'm sick of the praise of black male mediocrity. So to see this situation happen and how he had all the resources, there's dudes in the hood, they've been working their whole life trying to be a rapper, trying to get their little R&B career off the ground, haven't gone nowhere. This boy had all the opportunities in the world. Really should have strived to be something better than just a musician, if you ask me, but whatever. Then he turned out to be a executioner and taking out his underage girl. Like, are you serious? And then people are going to sit up here like, oh, well, we don't know for sure. Come on. Clearly he did. And he got a whole bunch of non-black people around him that's sitting up here being yes men, going along with the situation. Like, it's just, the whole situation is just mad weird. Like, and I'm sorry, I don't know what is going on in California. I'm not trying to stereotype people, but it's always some weird stuff going on in California with black men and all these non-black people around them. Like, and I completely believe all the black women that be making videos complaining about being in California. I be telling my cousins, y'all need to move from there, because listen, it seemed like a raccoon fest. But anyway, a killer raccoon fest. That's what it's giving. But anyway, the whole situation is just really, really disturbing and really unfortunate. And anyway, I've been rambling on for 17 minutes, still haven't connected to the Eminem situation. But my point was that obviously underage, she looks young as hell. Nobody can tell me that the adult grown people around him could not tell that this was an underage girl and that this girl was significantly young. Mind you, there was missing persons reports on this girl. The family was contacting them, asking them to fetch her home. Like, what is wrong with y'all? And now when the media is trying to dig into the team or whatever, they're acting cagey, trying to act scary. Meanwhile, again, like I said, y'all was the non-black henchmen to this weirdo, soliciting children, sitting around, talking to children, having a little girl in his house, being a weirdo, sitting around with incinerators in the backyard. On top of that, mind you, even before this little girl went missing or anything, he was always dropping hints about being a weirdo in his music and the stuff that he would repost. And apparently they going through his like TikToks or whatever, just his social media. And once this little girl went missing, he's over here reposting stuff like, oh, you know how the little kid, not the little kids, but you get what I mean, like the younger, the Zoomers, they be posting stuff where it's like, oh, when she thinks she's leaving, and then in the background it's like somebody getting like killed, like getting cut up with a knife or something. Like, he's posting stuff like that. Or her when she thinks she about to leave me, and then he's cutting up chicken. Just weirdo shit, weird stuff, mad weird. So clearly this dude had been talking about and making little innuendos about violence against women. Even in the music that he was making, it was innuendos about violence against women. Just really disturbing stuff. But in our culture, because that stuff is so normalized, that people are listening to that, not thinking nothing of it. They're not thinking, oh, he's gonna unalive his underage girlfriend or whatever. Oh, people don't think that's a big deal. Unfortunately, most girls have a story about dealing with a dude that's way older than them. Not way older, but you get what I mean. That's significantly older to the point where it was not appropriate. So to a lot of people, they're gonna turn a blind eye and mind their business. A lot of people pretend online and pump fake that they are so outraged by this type of stuff, and they're really not. They've probably seen it themselves. But yeah, so this is just a crazy cautionary tale of just a random situation of what really could happen. But But yeah, like he had been making innuendos about violence. He was really into gore stuff, always talking about that in interviews and things. Like, it's not fair to say that those are genuine red flags, but those are red flags, because you don't think somebody's gonna completely just take someone's life, but that does say something about how they're gonna engage with women in their relationships. And there's not a far line at all between dating someone that's underage and being physically abusive, because you're already showing that you don't really care about this person developmentally. You don't care about them, what they're going through in school. You don't care that they're eighth grader and dealing with going to a junior prom and stuff like that. Meanwhile, you graduated, you're supposed to be living your best life, but you're hanging on to this child that's in middle school. Like, you're a weirdo. And I also wonder if maybe he was like living vicariously through her because he didn't go to school, or, you know, he felt like he didn't get to live out his best 15-year-old life up here talking about, oh, I didn't have no relationship when I was in middle school because I was in homeschool. Okay, I was in public school and one of the baddest bitches in my grade. I ain't have nobody either. Like, join the club, like, grow up. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not going and taking advantage of children because I'm not a freak and a weirdo, you know? Like, I'm not like, you know, I'm not sitting up here making jokey jokes about killing males on my social media because I'm mad that I didn't get, you know, I didn't get a boyfriend in middle school. Mind you, could have had one. He probably could have had one too. He's probably just mad socially awkward, you know what I mean? Or whatever it was. It probably wasn't just that. Or maybe it was that he was so isolated. Either way, if you were so isolated, so what? That's not like, that's nobody else's fault. And something that somebody picked up on, I can't remember. It was BJ Investigates who said this. She said that she picked up on the fact, I think it was her. I hope it was her. It might have been someone else that I watched. I've been watching a lot of people that talk about this situation. But anyway, I think it was BJ Investigates that said this. I think she was saying how she picked up on the fact that she sensed that he resented his mother in a lot of the times he would talk about being a child. And I could totally see that, because a lot of these weirdo males who have misogynistic tendencies, who are violent towards women, a lot of them do have aggressive feelings towards their mother, and they are resentful. So I'm not surprised. And you know, that's a great way to segue into the Eminem bit right before I wrap this video up. But basically, Eminem was the same way. He had a lot of aggressive and resentment towards his mother. Rightfully so. His mother was actually trash. She actually was abusive. She actually neglected him and let her boyfriends abuse Eminem. And I'm saying this because I used to, in the 2000s when I was younger, I'm embarrassed to say, but I used to be a fan of Eminem. Actually, I used to be so irritated when people used to say that he was a culture vulture, because I would be like, oh, y'all are hating, he's so talented, you know, people support him. Like, he was literally brought in by Dr. Dre, who's another woman abuser who severely abused Michelle. I believe she broke her nose and a few of her teeth as well. Dr. Dre is a woman abuser, okay? And he bought in woman abuser 50 Cent. He's another woman abuser too. Maybe not physically, but financially and verbally. 50 Cent's abusive too. But anyway, what's that? I lost my train of thought. Dr. Dre, he is a woman abuser, okay? He also has neglected his black daughter as well. She was living in a car. So Dr. D says too, because he also made a lot of disparaging comments about black women at that time. So, you know, I was just too young to understand why he was problematic, because I liked his music, because I was really into like not only hip hop, but also like the kind of the grungy, like skater type of like soft rock scene, like Linkin Park and, you know, stuff like that. Like, I was really into that whole scene at that time. So, you know, I liked Eminem's music. And now that I'm an adult, I cannot even like listen to his music. I can't enjoy a lot of music from that time, honestly, not just his. Even like Lil Wayne, he's another woman abuser and a colorist who hates black women. Okay, I won't say he hates black women, but he don't have a lot of respect for black women at all. But anywho, I used to really like him as well. I can't really even listen to their music in the same way anymore, because it just don't hit the same. Eminem, Lil Wayne, I could look past Lil Wayne and enjoy the art from the artist. But with Eminem, because his music is so violent and misogynistic towards women, it's like I can't even enjoy this in good faith anymore. And it's like Stan, I used to love that song, and it's like now it just creeps me out and disturbs me to even listen to that song. So when I saw that video made by that creator, who y'all should follow her on Instagram, because she makes a lot of good like pop culture women based content on Instagram. But yeah, so, and I'll link her in the description box. But when I saw her video, it immediately made me think of D4vd, because I was like, this phenomenon of these males that today people will call incels, because Eminem had an incel mentality. Today we call it incel, but that's basically how he was. He just had sexual access to have a baby mama. Like, that's the only difference. But a lot of these angry white men that are school ooters now are the same men who supported 50 Cent. I keep saying 50 Cent. Eminem. In the 2000s, you know what I mean? They all fall in kind of that whole, like, even if you look at Eminem, he kind of gives skinhead. Like, if you look at him at that time, like, he looks like one of those racist white guys who grew up in the hood and says the N-word. Like, you know what I mean? But anyway, like, I'm just making the point that it's been a long time of people putting these violent lyrics towards women in music, and people just dismissing it as like, oh, it's just, he's just getting his emotions out. Oh, it's just art. Oh, it's just funny. It's a joke. And if you really look at these men, they really are violent in real life towards women. Like, Eminem really has been abusive towards women in his life. Even if his mom was, you know, a bad mom growing up, he has also said a lot of crazy stuff about her in his music as well. And I even think been violent towards her. So it's just like, you know, the stuff that these men are saying in their music aligns with how they're actually living their life and actually treating women. So it's like, you know, D4vd was, you know, his situation is 20 years later after Eminem is popular. But you got to think about it. You know, me personally, I don't believe in this whole like overhyped, like, oh my gosh, like this incel issue, and all these little boys are just like getting like brainwashed by red pill. In my opinion, the only difference now is that the little kids in general have more sophisticated understandings of misogyny because they have more access to information, and they're also getting a more intimate, direct like exposure to some of these ideas that you wouldn't have gotten as clearly in the early 2000s or in the 90s, or, you know, even in the 60s or 70s. Definitely not then, because at that time the misogyny was very whitewashed. You know, up until like I would say the 80s, the misogyny was just like very like underlined, and it's just like, oh, this is just the way of the world. But then like in the 80s and 90s, in the 2000s, you got a lot of those like bro movies where they were written by men, geared towards men, and they had a lot of negative messages towards women, and sometimes there would be violence in there, but a lot of it was masked under the guise of artisticness or a joke or whatever, or, you know, the ways that women's bodies or images would be talked about. You know what I mean? Like, the misogyny in media was more controlled, so I don't think it seemed as extreme as we're now on social media. Yeah, any mentally ill schizo weirdo can get online and say anything, and your son can be watching it on TikTok tonight. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so I think that the world just has a new access to children now. You know, I don't know what y'all gonna do about that. I don't have any kids, you know, so I don't know. But yeah, I think that that's the only difference. I don't feel like there's this like, oh, this huge incel like takeover movement. No, little boys have always been being taught misogyny. That's not new. Like, and little boys have always been treating little girls bad too. I don't know why y'all act like y'all didn't have negative experiences with little boys growing up either. I don't think the boys today are getting any extra I don't think it's anything more unique to what's been going on in the past. I think it's just more intensified because y'all kids have more access to the internet than y'all even understand. I think that that's why it seems worse. So, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, it's really messed up. And I just think that it's also telling how, you know, a lot of this wasn't exposed for a long time too, because it was kids on social media, again, on these discords, on TikTok, following him around, keeping the secret, not saying a lot of things for a long time until the authorities got involved. Then they started to help with the investigation, and they were actually able to give them a lot of information, which is good. But that says something as well, you know, like the fact that teenagers, they, you know, yeah, this has been happening for a long time too. Kids doing stuff to other kids and crimes happening, covering it up from the adults, whatever. But, you know, like this was basically an not international, but like a whole statewide murder investigation that's basically being solved through Discord because of this one weirdo who kept a whole bunch of children around him. It's just, yeah, it's really disturbing. And unfortunately, it's one of those things that I don't really feel like is that preventable, other than just keep an eye on your kids and don't give them so much like loose freedom to the point where, you know, you're not monitoring who and what they're around, and you're just letting the world get to them so much. I think that's what it is. But unfortunately, like, you know, this type of stuff is, you know, it's just really unfortunate. But, you know, we'll see what happens. You know, RIP to Celeste Rivas Hernandez. You know, I really hope they bring justice to her case, and, you know, we get all the facts and the details straight about what happened, and yeah, that her death is avenged. So yeah, hug your kids, hug your wives, hug your husbands, because they attacking everyone out here. But thanks for the support. Peace.
Mwah, mwah, mwah. Oh my, delete everything, delete everything. Everything goes, everything goes, everything.